Elena Hart had 7 minutes left of her normal life. She just didn't know it yet. The coffee was bitter. The morning was quiet. The bookshelf was wrong. She noticed it mid-sip, a flash of burgundy leather where burgundy leather had no business being. Wedged between Persuasion and a Portugal travel guide she'd never opened. A book she didn't buy. A book she'd never seen. Elena set the mug down. The ceramic clicked against the counter like a warning. Don't. She crossed the room anyway. Don't touch it. Her fingers found the spine. The leather was soft. Warm. Almost alive. She pulled it out. Second shelf. A life you almost lived. What the hell? She opened it. And her name stared back at her. Elena woke up at 6:47 a.m., 3 minutes before her alarm, as she always did. She spoke to her coffee mug the way other people spoke to pets. The air left her lungs. She would find this book today. She would laugh it off. Her hands started shaking. She would be wrong. Elena slammed it shut, shoved it back on the shelf, stepped away like it might follow her. No. Nope. Absolutely not. Her phone buzzed. Calendar reminder, Vivian Pike. 9 a.m. briefing. Work. Normal. Safe. She grabbed her bag and ran. But here's the thing about running from fate. Fate knows all the shortcuts. 6 hours earlier, Elena's life made sense. She was 38. Senior Director of Strategic Communications at Weller Crane Hospitality Group. The woman they called when scandals needed burying and disasters needed spinning. She had a corner office. A boyfriend from a good family. An apartment with a view of the river. She had control. That was the word she'd built her entire existence around. Control the narrative. Control the room. Control the version of yourself that people see. Never let them see the girl who grew up hungry. Never let them see the girl who clawed her way out of nothing. Never let them see the girl who once did something so cruel, so unnecessary, that she'd spent 15 years trying to forget the sound of her own laughter. Control. And now a book on her shelf was rewriting itself, and control was slipping through her fingers like smoke. The Weller Crane lobby was designed to intimidate. 30-foot ceilings. Italian marble, so polished you could see your own doubt reflected in it. A reception desk that cost more than most people's annual salary. Elena walked through it every day without flinching. This was her territory. Her arena. Today, her heels felt unsteady. Vivian Pike was waiting in her office. Silver bob. Ice blue eyes. Smile like a closed fist. Sit. Elena sat. Clearhaven Facilities. Vivian slid a folder across the desk. 42 million over 5 years. They're the frontrunner for our property management contract. I've heard of them. Elena opened the folder. Growth charts. Press clippings. A photo of the leadership team. Green building wellness. Sustainable maintenance. The CEO is coming in today. Vivian's eyes didn't blink. I need you to handle him. Handle him how? Make him feel seen. Appreciated. The smile cracked wider. Pliable. Elena's stomach turned. She knew what handle meant. She'd been handling people for years. It was what she was good at. It was what she hated about herself. Who's the CEO? Vivian checked her watch. He's in the lobby. Go introduce yourself. She saw him before he saw her. Standing by the windows. Looking out at the river. Hands in his pockets, shoulders relaxed. Completely at ease in a space designed to make people feel small. The suit was expensive. Charcoal. Tailored. But something about the way he wore it. Like he remembered wearing something else. Like the fabric was a costume he'd only recently learned to trust. He turned. And Elena's heart stopped. She knew that face. 15 years older. 15 years harder. But the same eyes. The same quiet intensity. The same mouth that had once asked her, voice shaking with hope, if she wanted to get coffee sometime. Malcolm Reed. The janitor from her college library. The boy she'd laughed at in front of everyone. The boy whose face had crumpled like paper before he'd walked away. Still holding 2 cups of coffee he'd bought with money he probably couldn't spare. He was here. He was a CEO. And he was smiling at her like he'd been waiting for this moment his entire life. Elena Hart. His voice was deeper now. Steadier. A voice that had learned to command rooms. It's been a while. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. Say something. Say anything. Say. Mr. Reed. The words scraped out. Welcome to Weller Crane. Malcolm. He extended his hand. I think we're past formalities. She shook it. His grip was warm and firm. Her palm was ice and trembling. He knows. He remembers. He's been waiting. Of course. She forced a smile. Malcolm. He studied her. Not angry. Not bitter. Not even cold. Curious. Like she was a specimen. Like she was a question he'd been turning over for 15 years. Shall we? He gestured toward the elevators. Elena nodded. Walked beside him. Smiled at the receptionist. Pressed the button for the 7th floor. The elevator doors closed. And in the reflection of the polished steel, she saw herself standing next to the man she'd destroyed. Both of them pretending they were strangers. Both of them knowing they were anything but. The book knew, she thought. The book knew he was coming. What else did it know? The meeting was a blur. 2 hours of terms and conditions. Revenue projections. Partnership frameworks. Elena smiled. Nodded. Took notes her hand wrote without permission. But she wasn't there. Not really. She was back in that library basement. 23 years old. Surrounded by friends she'd wanted to impress. Watching a boy in a janitor's uniform walk toward her with 2 cups of coffee and a nervous smile. Hey, I've seen you studying here a lot. Thought maybe you'd want to grab coffee sometime. I mean, I already grabbed it, so? He'd laughed. Awkward. Hopeful. Real. And Elena, 23, insecure, desperate to seem like she belonged with people who had money and status and futures that didn't smell like bleach, had looked at her friends. Seen them smirking. Made a choice. She'd laughed. Not a polite laugh. Not a nervous laugh. A cruel laugh. Loud. Performative. The kind of laugh that said, "Can you believe this guy?" Her friends had joined in. A chorus of mockery. And Malcolm had stood there. Coffee cups in hand. Face crumpling. Then smoothing into nothing. Then walking away without a word. She'd never seen him again. Until today. That night. Elena sat on her bedroom floor with the book in her lap. Grant had texted 4 times. She'd ignored them all. The book had new pages now. Pages that hadn't existed this morning. He walked into her lobby, wearing a suit that still carried the memory of mop water. She turned the page. In another life, she said yes. In another life, she took the coffee from his shaking hands and said, "I'd love to." Another page. In another life, she married him when he had nothing. A studio apartment. A leaky faucet. A second-hand couch. She learned to cook. He learned to trust. They fought about money and made up in the dark and built something real from something broken. Another page. In another life, she was poor. And terrified. And free. Elena's eyes burned. The last page had only 1 line. Now watch what he does. Beneath it, blank space. Waiting. And then, as she stared, letters began forming. Faint. Like breath fogging glass. He's going to ask you again. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Dinner. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. No business. Just a conversation. M. She dropped the phone like it was burning. The book sat in her lap, pages rustling in a breeze that didn't exist. And somewhere in the back of her mind, a voice whispered, "This is where everything changes. This is where you find out what you really lost." Elena didn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling until the ceiling stared back. She stared at her phone until the screen went dark. She stared at the book on her nightstand until she finally shoved it in a drawer and buried it under old scarves. It didn't help. At 3 a.m., she could have sworn she heard pages turning. At 6 a.m., her alarm screamed, and Elena dragged herself out of bed feeling like she'd aged 10 years overnight. The text was still there. She checked 4 times to make sure she hadn't hallucinated it. Dinner. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. No business. Just a conversation. M. She hadn't replied. She didn't know how. What do you say to the man you destroyed? What do you say when he comes back wearing success like armor and asks you to sit across from him like nothing happened? Her phone buzzed. Not Malcolm this time. Grant, morning beautiful. Dinner tonight? I made reservations at Chez Laurent. Elena's stomach turned. Chez Laurent. White tablecloths. $300 wine. Grant's favorite place to be seen. She typed back. Sure. 7 works. Normal. Safe. Controlled. She could do this. She could compartmentalize. She'd been doing it her whole life. But when she opened her dresser drawer to grab a scarf, the book was on top. She'd buried it under 6 scarves. She was certain. It was on top now, open to a fresh page. She'll say yes to the wrong dinner tonight. She'll smile at the wrong man. She'll keep choosing safety over truth until safety becomes its own kind of prison. Elena slammed the drawer shut. Her hands were shaking. Chez Laurent was everything Elena should have wanted. Crystal chandeliers, flickering candles, a string quartet playing something classical and forgettable. Grant sat across from her in a navy blazer, looking exactly like the kind of man her 23-year-old self would have killed to be seen with. Handsome, polished, appropriate. You're distracted. His voice cut through her thoughts like a scalpel. He was smiling, but his eyes were calculating. Elena forced herself to focus. Sorry. Long day. You've been saying that a lot lately. He reached across the table, covering her hand with his. The gesture looked tender. The pressure wasn't. Talk to me. I found a book that knows my secrets. The man I humiliated 15 years ago is now a CEO who wants to have dinner with me. I think fate is stalking me, and I don't know why. Just work stress, she said. Big contract negotiation. The Clearhaven deal? Grant's eyebrows lifted. Vivian mentioned it at the club. Said you were handling it personally. Of course Vivian had mentioned it. Grant and Vivian orbited the same social planets. Old Savannah money, charity galas, golf course handshakes. Elena was their satellite, useful and ornamental. I am handling it. She pulled her hand back, reaching for her wine. It's complicated. Complicated how? Complicated because Malcolm Reed looked at me today like he could see through every wall I've ever built. Complicated because I think he's going to make me pay for what I did, and part of me thinks I deserve it. The CEO is difficult. Grant's jaw tightened, almost imperceptibly. Difficult how? Demanding. Specific about terms. She took a long sip of wine. He knows what he wants. Grant leaned back, studying her. What's his name? Malcolm Reed. Something flickered in Grant's eyes. Recognition? Concern? It vanished before she could name it. Never heard of him, he said smoothly. New money. Self-made. The words came out sharper than she intended. Built his company from nothing. Oh. Grant's smile returned, but it had edges now. One of those. One of those. Like Malcolm was a category. A type. Something to be dismissed. Elena thought about the boy with the coffee cups. The nervous smile. The hope in his eyes before she'd crushed it. He was always more than you gave him credit for. You just couldn't see it. He's impressive, she heard herself say. Actually impressive. Grant's smile froze. I'm sure he is. He signaled for the check. Let's get out of here. I want you to myself tonight. The words should have been romantic. They felt like a collar clicking shut. The next morning, Elena arrived at Weller Crane to find chaos. Vivian was pacing her office like a caged animal. 2 junior executives huddled in the corner, looking terrified. And through the glass walls, Elena could see the conference room. Malcolm was already there. Early. Unannounced. Sitting at the head of the table like he owned it. What's happening? Elena asked. He moved the meeting up. Vivian's voice was ice. Didn't ask. Just showed up with his team and said he wanted to accelerate discussions. Can he do that? He just did. Vivian grabbed Elena's arm, pulling her aside. Listen to me. I don't know what game he's playing, but I need you in there. Now. Smile. Charm. Do whatever it takes. Vivian. Your job, Elena. The grip tightened. Your career. Everything you've built. It's all riding on this. Do you understand? Elena understood. She'd always understood. Be useful. Be pleasant. Be whatever they need you to be. She walked into the conference room. Malcolm looked up. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. A flicker of what? Anticipation? Amusement? Elena. He gestured to the seat beside him. Join us. Not across from him. Beside him. A power move. Subtle but unmistakable. She sat, smiled, pretended her heart wasn't hammering. Thank you for accommodating the schedule change, Malcolm said to the room. But he was looking at her. I believe in momentum. When something feels right, why wait? Vivian's smile was a weapon. We appreciate your enthusiasm. I'm sure you do. Malcolm slid a folder across the table. New terms. Updated this morning. Vivian opened it. Her face went pale. This is non-negotiable. Malcolm's voice was pleasant. His eyes were steel. Take it or leave it. But decide today. The room was silent. Elena could hear her own pulse. Vivian looked at her. A desperate, furious look that said, fix this. Elena opened her mouth. Actually, Malcolm stood. Before we continue, I'd like a word with Miss Hart. Privately. Every head turned. Vivian's eyes narrowed. That's unusual. I'm an unusual man. Malcolm smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. 5 minutes. Then we'll resume. He walked out of the conference room without waiting for permission. Elena had no choice but to follow. He led her to the rooftop terrace. Savannah sprawled below them, moss-draped oaks, church spires, the river glinting in the morning sun. Beautiful, peaceful, completely at odds with the tension crackling between them. Malcolm stood at the railing, back to her. You didn't answer my text. Elena stopped 3 feet behind him. Professional distance. Safe distance. I wasn't sure what to say. Yes or no would have worked. He turned. Simple words. Even you can manage those. Even you. The words landed like a slap. Malcolm, I've thought about this moment for 15 years. He took a step toward her. Did you know that? 15 years of building something, becoming someone, proving everyone wrong. And the whole time, in the back of my mind, there was this image. Your face. Your laugh. Elena's throat closed. I told myself I'd moved on, he continued. Told myself it didn't matter. But then I saw your name in the project brief, and I realized, he laughed softly, bitterly. I hadn't moved on. I'd just been waiting. Waiting for what? For this. He gestured between them. For the chance to stand in front of you as an equal. To ask you the same question I asked 15 years ago and see what you'd say. Elena's heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her teeth. So I'm asking. His eyes locked onto hers. Dinner. Tonight. No business. No audience. Just you and me and the truth. The word hung in the air. Truth. When was the last time Elena had told the truth about anything? I can't. The words came out before she could stop them. Reflex. Survival. The same instinct that had made her laugh at him all those years ago. Malcolm's expression didn't change. But something behind his eyes, something hopeful, something human, flickered and died. Can't, he repeated. Or won't. I'm with someone. Grant Weller. Malcolm nodded slowly. I know. I also know he's been skimming money from his father's development company for 3 years, and that your boss is helping him hide it. But sure, loyalty to that is what's stopping you. Elena felt the blood drain from her face. How do you? I do my homework. He stepped back, straightened his cuffs, rebuilt the wall. Enjoy your safe life, Elena. I hope it keeps you warm. He walked past her toward the door. Malcolm, we're done. He didn't turn around. I'll tell Vivian the deal is off. Find another partner. The door closed behind him. Elena stood alone on the rooftop, the Savannah sun beating down on her, and felt her entire life start to crack. She drove straight to Joan's bookstore. The crooked spine was empty, as usual. Joan was behind the counter, reading glasses perched on her nose, a paperback romance in her hands. You look like someone stole your soul and gave you a receipt, Joan said. Elena collapsed into the worn armchair by the window. I think I just destroyed my career. Career's overrated. Joan set down the book. What really happened? So Elena told her. The meeting. The rooftop. The question. The rejection. Joan listened without interrupting. When Elena finished, she nodded slowly. So let me get this straight. A man you wronged 15 years ago came back successful, asked you on a date, and you said no because you're dating a man you don't love and working for people you don't respect. It's more complicated than that. Is it? Joan's eyes were sharp. Or is it exactly that simple, and you're just too scared to admit it? Elena didn't answer. Her phone buzzed. Grant, coming over tonight. We should talk. And beneath it, another notification. An email from Vivian. My office. 8 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late. That night, Grant let himself into her apartment without knocking. We need to discuss something. He was smiling, but his eyes were cold. He was holding his phone, and on the screen, a photo. Elena and Malcolm. On the rooftop. Standing close. One of my contacts sent me this. Grant's voice was pleasant. Controlled. Want to explain? It was a work conversation. It doesn't look like work. He stepped closer. It looks like my girlfriend having a private moment with another man. Grant, nothing happened. I know nothing happened. His smile widened. Because I'm going to make sure nothing ever happens. Starting now. He pulled out his phone again. Typed something. Hit send. What did you do? Posted something to help clarify your situation. He showed her the screen. A photo of them at dinner last night, his arm around her, her smile frozen. The caption, excited to finally announce our engagement. She said yes. Elena's vision went white. We're not engaged. We are now. Grant pocketed the phone. Congratulations, sweetheart. Try to look happy about it. He kissed her forehead and walked out, leaving Elena standing in her living room, trapped in a lie she never agreed to. Her phone buzzed. Then again. Then exploded with notifications. Congratulations, heart emojis, exclamation points. She ignored them all and ran to her bedroom. The drawer was open. The book was waiting. She grabbed it with shaking hands and flipped to the last page. New words. Fresh ink. Chapter 2. The Second Rejection. And beneath it, she said no again. She chose fear again. But the story isn't over. It's just beginning. Now watch what he does. Elena turned the page. Blank. But in the corner, barely visible, 3 words were forming. He'll fight back. Her phone buzzed one final time. Unknown number. I saw the announcement. Interesting timing. M. Elena sank to the floor, the book clutched to her chest, and realized she'd just made everything infinitely worse. And somewhere across the city, Malcolm Reed was making a decision that would change both their lives forever. The engagement announcement had 3,000 likes by morning. Elena watched the number climb while sitting in her car outside Weller Crane, coffee going cold in her hand, unable to make herself walk inside. Comments flooded in. So happy for you. And finally, and you two are perfect together. Perfect. Right. Grant had tagged her in 17 photos overnight. Their relationship suddenly had a highlight reel she didn't remember filming. Dinners she'd barely enjoyed. Vacations she'd spent answering work emails. A version of them that looked like a magazine spread and felt like a mausoleum. Her phone buzzed. Vivian, where are you? My office. Now. Elena took a breath. Then another. Then she walked into the building she was increasingly certain would become her grave. Vivian didn't offer her a seat. The Clearhaven deal is back on. Elena blinked. What? Malcolm Reed called this morning. Vivian's smile was razor thin. Apparently, he's had a change of heart. Wants to continue negotiations. But yesterday he said. I don't care what he said yesterday. Vivian leaned forward, palms flat on her desk. I care about $42 million. And I care about you doing your job. My job. He specifically requested you as the primary liaison. Vivian's eyes glittered. Isn't that interesting? The man was ready to walk, and then overnight, he changes his mind and asks for you by name. Elena's stomach dropped. I saw the announcement. Interesting timing. M. He'd seen. He knew. And now he was what? Playing a game? Seeking revenge? There's a site visit today, Vivian continued. The Bellamy Hotel renovation. Malcolm wants to inspect the property before finalizing terms. You'll accompany him. Just me. Just you. Vivian's smile widened. Consider it a test, Elena. Pass it, and your future here is secure. Fail it. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. The Bellamy Hotel was a crumbling beauty on the edge of Forsyth Park. Once a grand dame of Savannah hospitality, it had spent 2 decades rotting behind a chain-link fence. Now Weller Crane was resurrecting it, or trying to. The renovation was behind schedule, over budget, and plagued by problems nobody wanted to discuss on record. Elena arrived 20 minutes early. Malcolm was already there. He stood in the gutted lobby, hard hat in hand, studying the exposed brick like it held secrets. Dust motes swirled around him in the afternoon light. He looked up when she walked in. Elena. His voice was neutral, professional. Thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? Something flickered in his eyes. Amusement? Respect? There's always a choice. He handed her a hard hat. Ready to see the damage? They walked through the hotel in near silence. Malcolm asked questions, structural ones, logistical ones, questions that revealed he understood construction better than most executives. Elena answered what she could, deferred what she couldn't, and tried not to notice how close he walked beside her. The tension was unbearable. A living thing coiled between them. On the 3rd floor, they passed a work crew patching drywall. One of them, a woman in her 50s with tired eyes and calloused hands, looked up as Malcolm approached. Mr. Reed. Her voice was surprised. Wary. Didn't expect to see you here. Gloria. Malcolm smiled. A real smile. The first one Elena had seen. How's the knee? Better since you got me that brace. Gloria's wariness melted into warmth. My grandson says thank you for the birthday card, by the way. Kid won't stop talking about it. Tell him I expect a rematch at chess. He cheated last time. Gloria laughed, a genuine, full-body laugh, and returned to her work. Elena stared. What? Malcolm asked. You know her? She worked at one of our first buildings. Night shift custodian. He started walking again. Her knee gave out last year. Company insurance wouldn't cover the surgery, so I covered it. You paid for her surgery? She needed it. He shrugged like it was nothing. What was I supposed to do? Let her suffer because of policy fine print? Elena didn't have an answer. She was still looking for one when they reached the 4th floor, and everything went wrong. The argument was audible from the stairwell. A man's voice, loud, aggressive, and a woman's voice, quiet, desperate, cracking. Malcolm pushed through the fire door. Elena followed. A foreman stood in the middle of the hallway, face red with fury, jabbing his finger at a housekeeper who couldn't have been younger than 60. She clutched a mop in trembling hands, eyes wet, shoulders hunched like she was trying to disappear. Absolutely unacceptable. Do you have any idea how much this delay is costing us? I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to. Sorry doesn't fix the water damage. You left the bucket in the electrical closet, and now we've got a shorted panel and a 2-day setback. I didn't leave it there, I swear. Don't lie to me. The foreman stepped closer. Looming. You're done. Pack your things. I want you off this site in 10 minutes. The housekeeper's face crumpled. Please. I need this job. My husband is sick, and the insurance. Should have thought of that before you. That's enough. Malcolm's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. The foreman spun around. Mr. Reed, this doesn't concern you. Internal matter. This is my site inspection. Everything here concerns me. Malcolm walked forward, placing himself between the foreman and the housekeeper. What happened? She left a mop bucket in the electrical closet. Caused a shortage. 2 days of delays. Did anyone see her leave it there? The foreman hesitated. Well, no, but... So you're firing a woman based on an assumption. Malcolm's voice was calm. Terrifyingly calm. Did you check the security footage? The cameras on this floor aren't working yet, so you have no evidence. Malcolm turned to the housekeeper. Ma'am, what's your name? Dorothy. She was shaking. Dorothy Wells. Dorothy, did you leave that bucket in the electrical closet? No, sir. I swear on my life. I finished mopping the east wing and put everything back in the supply room. Someone else must have moved it. Malcolm nodded. Then he turned to the foreman with an expression that made Elena's blood run cold. Here's what's going to happen. His voice was quiet. Deadly. Dorothy is going to keep her job. She's going to receive a formal apology. And you're going to conduct an actual investigation before you accuse anyone of anything again. If I find out you've retaliated against her in any way, Clearhaven pulls out of this project entirely. Are we clear? The foreman's face went purple. You can't. I can. Malcolm smiled. It wasn't friendly. $42 million says I can do whatever I want. Are we clear? Silence. Then, through gritted teeth. Clear. Good. Malcolm turned to Dorothy. His entire demeanor softened. Ma'am, I'm sorry this happened. If you have any more trouble, here's my card. Call me directly. He handed her a business card. Dorothy took it with trembling hands, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you so much. Malcolm nodded. Then he walked past Elena toward the stairwell, not looking back. Elena stood frozen. She'd spent 15 years telling herself that Malcolm Reed was a footnote, a mistake, a nobody she'd rightfully dismissed. She'd spent 15 years building a life surrounded by people who would have watched Dorothy get fired and called it business. And in 30 seconds, Malcolm had blown every excuse she'd ever made to pieces. She caught up with him on the second floor. She searched for words. Why did you do that? Malcolm stopped walking. Turned. Do what? Protect someone who was being treated unfairly? You risked the entire deal. For a housekeeper you just met. So that's not how business works. No. His eyes locked onto hers. That's not how your business works. It's exactly how mine works. Elena felt something crack inside her chest. A wall she'd built so long ago she'd forgotten it existed. Malcolm, I know what it's like to be Dorothy. His voice was quiet now. Raw. I know what it's like to have someone with power decide your worth based on nothing. To be dismissed. Humiliated. Thrown away. He took a step closer. I swore when I started this company that I would never be that person. That no one who worked for me or with me would ever feel the way I felt that night in the library. Elena couldn't breathe. I'm not doing this for revenge, Elena. I'm not trying to punish you. He shook his head. I just wanted you to see, to understand, that the boy you laughed at, he wasn't worthless. He was just waiting for someone to give him a chance. Tears burned her eyes. She blinked them back. I'm sorry. The words came out broken. Malcolm, I'm so sorry. I know. He looked at her for a long moment, something shifting behind his eyes. But sorry doesn't erase 15 years. Sorry doesn't undo what you did. Then what does? He was quiet. Then, I don't know yet, but I'm willing to find out. He turned and walked away, leaving Elena standing in the ruins of the Bellamy Hotel, surrounded by dust and debris and the wreckage of every assumption she'd ever made about who she was. That night, Elena went to Joan's bookstore. The Crooked Spine was quiet. Rain tapped against the windows. Joan sat behind the counter with a cup of tea, watching Elena like she could see through skin and bone to the mess underneath. You look different, Joan said. I feel different. Good different, or about to have a breakdown different. Elena laughed despite herself. Both. Definitely both. She told Joan about the site visit. Dorothy. Malcolm stepping in. The way he'd looked at her when he talked about the library. Joan listened without interrupting. When Elena finished, she nodded slowly. So he's not the villain you made him. He never was. Elena's voice cracked. I was the villain. I just couldn't see it. Joan sipped her tea. So what are you going to do about it? I don't know. Grant is telling everyone we're engaged. Vivian is using me to secure this deal. Malcolm is. She shook her head. I don't know what Malcolm is doing. Sounds like you do. Joan's eyes sparkled. Sounds like he's giving you a chance to become someone worth forgiving. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, different from Malcolm's. I know your secret, Elena. The laugh. The video. I've kept it all these years. Let's have coffee. Tomorrow. 10 a.m. Don't be late. Tessa. Elena's blood went cold. What is it? Joan asked. Elena stared at the screen. Tessa Lane. She hadn't thought about Tessa in years. The girl who'd been there that night. The girl who'd filmed the whole thing on her phone while laughing along. The girl who'd kept the evidence. Someone from my past, Elena whispered. Someone I'd hoped had forgotten. She rushed home, hands shaking, and pulled the book from her nightstand drawer. New pages. Fresh ink. She thought the cruelty was buried. She thought the witnesses had forgotten. But nothing stays buried forever. And beneath it, in that handwriting that looked like her own, the video exists. The video is coming. And when it surfaces, everyone will see who you really were. Elena turned the page. One line waited. She's going to make you pay. Unless you pay her first. Her phone buzzed again. Grant, great news. My mother wants to throw us an engagement party. Next Saturday. Everyone will be there. And beneath it, another text from Tessa. Tick-tock, Elena. Elena sank onto her bed, the book clutched to her chest, and realized the trap was closing from every direction. And she had no idea how to escape. Tessa Lane looked exactly like Elena remembered. Same sharp smile. Same calculating eyes. Same way of holding her coffee cup like it was a weapon she hadn't decided whether to use. They sat across from each other at a cafe on Broughton Street. Neutral territory, public enough to prevent screaming, private enough for threats. You look good, Elena. Tessa's voice was honeyed. Poisonous. Success suits you. What do you want, Tessa? Straight to business. Tessa laughed. I always liked that about you. No pretense. That's ironic, Elena thought, coming from the woman who filmed my worst moment and kept it like a trophy. I don't have time for games. Neither do I. Tessa set down her cup. So let me be direct. I have a video. You know which one. 37 seconds of you laughing at a janitor like he was garbage. The audio is crystal clear. Your face is unmistakable. Elena's stomach turned to ice. That was 15 years ago. The internet doesn't care about timelines. Tessa smiled. Do you know what a video like that would do today? Corporate PR executive caught on camera bullying service worker. The think pieces would write themselves. Your career. She made an explosion sound with her mouth. Gone. What do you want? Tessa leaned forward. Malcolm Reed's company is about to close a $42 million deal with Weller Crane. I want in. In how? I run a PR consulting firm now. Very boutique. Very exclusive. Her smile sharpened. I want the Clearhaven account. You're going to make that happen. I can't just. You can. Tessa's voice hardened. You're the liaison. You have Malcolm's ear. Convince him to hire my firm as part of the partnership agreement, and the video stays buried forever. Elena's mind raced. And if I can't convince him, then I post it. Tessa shrugged. And I send copies to every media outlet in Georgia. And I make sure Grant's mother sees it right before your little engagement party. The trap was elegant. Elena had to admire it, even as it closed around her throat. Why now, she asked. You've had this video for 15 years. Why come for me now? Something flickered in Tessa's eyes. Something almost human. Because 15 years ago, I was laughing too. Her voice quieted. I was right there with you, mocking that boy, thinking I was so clever. And then I watched him become everything we said he'd never be, and I realized. She stopped. Swallowed. I realized we were the joke. We were always the joke. So this is about revenge. This is about opportunity. The mask slid back into place. Malcolm Reed is worth millions now, and I intend to get my piece. One way or another. She stood, dropping a 20 on the table. You have until Saturday. The engagement party. Either I'm signing a contract with Clearhaven by then, or the whole world sees who you really are. She walked out, heels clicking on tile, leaving Elena alone with her cold coffee and colder dread. Elena drove straight to her apartment. She needed to think. She needed a plan. She needed the book. It was on her kitchen counter when she walked in. She was certain she'd left it in her bedroom. Certain. It didn't matter anymore. She grabbed it with shaking hands and flipped past everything she'd already read. New pages waited. She met Tessa. She heard the threat. Now she'll try to control the damage, the way she always does. Elena turned the page. But control is an illusion. It always has been. And the only way out of this trap is a door she's been too afraid to open. What door? Elena demanded, as if the book could hear her. What am I supposed to do? She turned another page and found herself in another life. The handwriting changed. Softer, warmer, like a letter from a friend. In another life, you said yes. You took the coffee from his hands. You saw the way they trembled. You saw the hope in his eyes and recognized it as courage, the kind of courage you'd never had. You said yes, and everything changed. Elena's breath caught. You married him 6 months later. A courthouse wedding. Your dress was secondhand. His suit was borrowed. Your mother cried, and not from happiness. You moved into a studio apartment above a laundromat. The pipes rattled at night. The neighbors fought through thin walls. You learned to cook because you couldn't afford takeout. You learned to budget because there was no safety net. You were terrified. She turned the page. But you were free. Free from the expectations. Free from the performance. Free from the exhausting work of being someone you were never meant to be. Malcolm worked nights. Custodial jobs. Security shifts. Anything to keep the lights on while he finished his business degree. You watched him study at 2 a.m., eyes bloodshot, jaw set, refusing to quit. You fell in love with his stubbornness before you fell in love with him. Elena's eyes burned. He started his company in your living room. A laptop and a dream and a spreadsheet you helped him build. You answered phones. You filed paperwork. You believed in him when no one else did. The first year, you made $12,000. Combined, you ate ramen and laughed about it. You fought about money and made up in the dark. You built something real from something broken. She turned another page. In that life, you never became senior director of anything. You never wore designer clothes or dated men from good families. You never learned to smile at people you hated or bury your conscience under ambition. In that life, you were poor, and you were happy, and you were whole. The next page was different. The handwriting shifted back, sharper, more urgent. But that's not the life you chose. You chose the laugh. You chose the performance. You chose to be someone who fit in with people who would never truly know you. And now you're trapped in a life that looks perfect and feels like a prison. The question isn't whether you can escape, Elena. The question is whether you're brave enough to try. Elena closed the book. Her face was wet. She hadn't realized she was crying. The doorbell rang. Malcolm stood in her hallway. We need to talk. Elena stared at him. How do you know where I live? Your address is in the partnership file. He glanced past her. Can I come in? Every instinct screamed no. Every rational thought said this was dangerous. She stepped aside. Malcolm walked into her apartment like he was cataloging every detail. The careful furniture, the neutral colors, the complete absence of anything personal. Nice place, he said. It's a mausoleum. He turned, surprised. That's oddly honest. I'm trying something new. She crossed her arms. Why are you here? I got a call this morning. A woman named Tessa Lane said she had a business proposition for me. His eyes were unreadable. She mentioned your name several times. Elena's heart stopped. She wanted me to hire her PR firm as part of the Weller Crane deal. Said you'd recommended her highly. He paused. Did you? No, I didn't think so. He sat on her couch without asking. So what does she have on you? Elena could lie. She was good at lying. She'd built her entire career on carefully constructed truths and artfully omitted facts. But Malcolm was looking at her with those eyes, the same eyes from the library basement, 15 years older and infinitely more knowing. And she realized she was tired. Tired of lying. Tired of controlling. Tired of being someone she wasn't. A video. The words came out raw. From that night. In the library. She filmed the whole thing. Malcolm's expression didn't change. The night you laughed at me. Yes. And she's threatening to release it. Yes. Unless you help her get to me. Elena nodded. She couldn't speak. Malcolm was quiet for a long moment. Then he laughed, soft, bitter, exhausted. 15 years, he said. 15 years. And that moment is still following both of us. I'm sorry. The words felt pathetic. Inadequate. I know that doesn't fix anything, but you've said that before. He stood, moving toward her. Sorry. You're always sorry. But sorry is just a word, Elena. It doesn't mean anything unless you back it up. Then tell me how. Her voice cracked. Tell me what to do? How do I fix this? How do I make it right? I don't know. He was close now. Close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. But I know that fixing it doesn't start with managing PR, or cutting deals, or controlling narratives. It starts with telling the truth. The truth will destroy my career. Maybe. He shrugged. Or maybe your career isn't worth saving if it requires you to keep lying. The words hit her like a physical blow. That's easy for you to say. You've already made it. You've got nothing to lose. I've got everything to lose. His voice sharpened. Do you think success erased what happened? Do you think money made me forget what it felt like to be humiliated in front of a crowd? I built Clearhaven on the backs of people like Dorothy Wells. People who get stepped on, ignored, thrown away. My entire company is a monument to the idea that nobody should be treated the way you treated me. Elena flinched. And now I'm standing in your apartment, he continued, trying to figure out if you're the same person who laughed at me, or if you're someone who's finally ready to change. I don't know what I am anymore. That's a start. He headed for the door. Tessa wants to use me to blackmail you. I'm not going to let her. What are you going to do? He paused, hand on the doorknob. I'm going to give you a choice. He turned. Saturday night. The engagement party. I'll be there. Grant doesn't know it yet, but Vivian invited me to finalize discussions. Elena's blood went cold. Malcolm, you can keep playing their game. Smile at Grant. Let Tessa hold the video over your head. Pretend everything's fine while your life falls apart from the inside. He opened the door. Or you can tell the truth. All of it. No matter what it costs. And if I choose the truth? He looked at her for a long moment. Then I'll be standing right next to you when you do. He left. Elena stood in her empty apartment, heart pounding, mind racing. Her phone buzzed. Grant, Mother wants to discuss the guest list. Call her tonight. And smile when you do. And beneath it, another text. Tessa, 3 days, Elena. Tick-tock. She walked to the window. The Savannah evening stretched out below her, beautiful and indifferent. Then she pulled out the book. A new page waited. A single line. Say it ugly. Say it honest. The truth is the only door that leads anywhere worth going. Elena closed the book. 3 days until the engagement party. 3 days until everything she'd built came crashing down. 3 days to decide who she really wanted to be. The video dropped on Thursday morning. Elena was in the shower when her phone started buzzing. By the time she'd wrapped herself in a towel and grabbed it, she had 47 notifications. Texts, emails, missed calls, social media tags. Her hands shook as she opened Twitter. Watch. Corporate PR exec caught on camera mocking janitor in resurfaced video. 37 seconds. That's all it took to destroy a life. The clip was grainy, phone camera quality from 15 years ago, but clear enough. Elena's face, young and cruel, laughing at Malcolm while her friends joined in. The audio caught every word, every snicker, every devastating second of his humiliation. The comments were already piling up. Disgusting behavior. This is who corporations hire to manage their image. El Mayo, she needs to be fired immediately. Imagine being this cruel to someone just trying to do their job. Elena's legs gave out. She sat on the bathroom floor, wet hair dripping onto tile, and watched her life unravel in real time. Her phone rang. Vivian's name on the screen. She answered. My office. Vivian's voice was ice. 1 hour. Don't be late. The line went dead. Elena arrived at Weller Crane to find reporters outside the building. They descended like vultures when they spotted her. Ms. Hart, any comment on the video? Is it true you bullied service workers during college? Has Malcolm Reed seen the footage? She pushed through them without speaking, her professional mask cracking with every step. The lobby felt different now. People stared, whispered, turned away when she met their eyes. This is what Malcolm felt, she thought. This is what I did to him. Vivian's office was on the 7th floor. Elena took the stairs. She couldn't face the elevator's mirrored walls. Vivian was standing by the window when Elena walked in. Close the door. Elena closed it. Sit. She didn't sit. You've seen the video. Everyone has seen the video. Vivian turned. Her face was carved from stone. Do you have any idea what you've done? I was 23. I don't care how old you were. Vivian's voice cracked like a whip. I care about the $42 million deal that's now in jeopardy because my senior director of communications is trending as a workplace bully. Elena's throat tightened. Malcolm hasn't pulled out of the deal. Not yet. Vivian's eyes narrowed. But how long do you think that will last? Once his board sees this footage? Once the press starts asking why he's doing business with the company that employs the woman who humiliated him? Maybe if I talk to him. You're done talking to him. Vivian moved to her desk, pulling out a folder. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to issue a public apology, scripted, approved by legal. Then you're going to take a leave of absence while this blows over. And you're going to pray that Malcolm Reed has more forgiveness in him than you deserve. Elena stared at the folder. And if I refuse? Then you're fired. Vivian's smile was a knife. Effective immediately. No severance. No reference. Nothing. The trap was complete. Elena could see all the walls now, closing in from every direction. Fine. She took the folder. I'll read it. You'll do more than read it. Vivian leaned forward. You'll perform it. You'll cry if you have to. You'll make people believe you've changed. And then you'll disappear until I decide you're useful again. Elena walked out without another word. The folder felt like a bomb in her hands. She found an empty conference room and locked the door. The apology was 3 pages long. Corporate language. Legal hedging. Words designed to protect the company while appearing to take responsibility. I deeply regret the actions shown in the video. This does not reflect who I am today. I am committed to growth and accountability. Lies. All of it. Pretty lies wrapped in professional packaging. Her phone buzzed. Grant's name. She answered. What the hell is going on? His voice was sharp. Panicked. My mother is furious. She's threatening to cancel the engagement party. Maybe she should. What? Grant, the video, it's real. I did that. I was cruel, and I hurt someone, and now everyone knows. Silence on the other end. Then, so fix it. What? Fix it. His voice hardened. Issue an apology. Spin it. That's what you do, isn't it? That's what you're good at. Grant, I can't spin this. This is who I was. This is what I did. I don't care what you did 15 years ago. His words were clipped. Angry. I care about what this looks like now. My family's name is attached to yours. Our engagement is public. Do you have any idea how this reflects on me? Elena closed her eyes. This isn't about you. Everything is about me. He caught himself, lowered his voice. Listen to me carefully. You are going to read whatever script they give you. You are going to smile and apologize and make this go away. And then we're going to get married, and everyone will forget this ever happened. And if I don't, the silence stretched. Then we're done. His voice was cold. Final. And I'll make sure everyone knows you were the problem. Not me. The line went dead. Elena sat in the empty conference room, the scripted apology in her hands, and realized she had never felt more alone. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Meet me at the Crooked Spine. For PM, we need to talk. M. She almost laughed. Malcolm wanted to meet. After everything. After the video exposed their shared history to the entire world. She should say no. She should read the script, issue the apology, save what was left of her career. She should keep playing the game. Instead, she texted back, I'll be there. The Crooked Spine was empty when Elena arrived. Joan was behind the counter, watching her with knowing eyes. He's in the back. Joan nodded toward the reading room. Go on. Elena walked through the narrow aisles, past shelves of forgotten books, into the small space where Joan hosted poetry readings and book clubs. Malcolm sat in a worn armchair, waiting. He looked tired. The polished CEO was gone. In his place was someone older, softer, carrying the weight of decades. Sit. He gestured to the chair across from him. Please. She sat. I didn't release the video, he said. I know. Tessa did. She called me this morning. Gloating. His jaw tightened. Said I should thank her for exposing you. Said we were even now. Are we? Malcolm was quiet for a long moment. I used to dream about this, he admitted. About you being humiliated the way you humiliated me. About the whole world seeing who you really were. He shook his head. But watching it happen, it doesn't feel the way I thought it would. What does it feel like? Empty. He met her eyes. It just feels empty. Elena's chest ached. What are you going to do? She asked. About the deal. About us. That depends on you. He leaned forward. Vivian wants you to read a script. Grant wants you to spin it. Everyone wants you to perform another version of yourself that protects them. I know. So what do you want? The question hit her like a wave. What do you want, Elena? When was the last time anyone had asked her that? When was the last time she'd asked herself? I wanted to stop. Her voice broke. The lying. The performing. The constant work of being someone I'm not. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm so tired, Malcolm. I'm so tired of pretending. He watched her cry. Didn't move. Didn't offer empty comfort. Then stop pretending. How? If I tell the truth, the real truth, I lose everything. My job. My relationship. My reputation. You lose the things that were never really yours. His voice was gentle. But you might find something better. Like what? Like yourself. He stood. Moved toward her. Knelt in front of her chair until their eyes were level. I spent 15 years building a company on the idea that people deserve second chances. That who you were doesn't have to be who you are. He took her hands. His grip was warm. Steady. But second chances only work if you're brave enough to take them. I'm not brave. You came here. He squeezed her hands. That's a start. They talked for 2 hours. About the library. About the laugh. About the 15 years of parallel lives. His climbing. Hers hiding. Malcolm told her about the nights he'd almost quit. The investors who'd dismissed him. The board members who'd looked at his background and seen only a janitor playing dress-up. Elena told him about Grant. About Vivian. About the slow death of becoming someone she didn't recognize. When she finally left the bookstore, the sun was setting over Savannah, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber. Her phone buzzed. Vivian, the press conference is scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late. Elena stared at the message. Then she opened the book. It was in her purse. She didn't remember putting it there. A new page waited. She has 2 choices now. The script or the truth. The performance or the person. One path leads back to the life she knows, safe, empty, dying by degrees. The other leads somewhere unknown. Terrifying. Real. The question isn't which choice is easier. The question is which choice she can live with. Elena closed the book. Tomorrow. The press conference. She knew what she had to do. The press conference was held in Weller Crane's main lobby. Cameras. Reporters. Vivian standing off to the side, arms crossed, watching like a hawk. Grant was there too, positioned near the back, face arranged in supportive concern. Elena walked to the podium. The scripted apology was in her pocket. She looked at the cameras. At Vivian. At Grant. Then she looked at the back of the room, where Malcolm stood in the doorway, watching. He nodded. Just once. Elena pulled out the script and set it aside. I'm not going to read the prepared statement, she said. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Vivian's face went white. 15 years ago, I did something cruel. You've all seen the video. You've heard the laugh. That was me. I won't pretend it wasn't. Her voice shook, but she kept going. I laughed at a man because he was poor. Because he worked a job I thought was beneath me. Because I was desperate to fit in with people who would never truly accept me, and I sacrificed his dignity to prove I belonged. Silence. Complete silence. His name is Malcolm Reed. He's the CEO of Clearhaven Facilities. He's one of the most remarkable people I've ever met. And I destroyed him in front of a crowd because I was too afraid to be kind. Tears streamed down her face. She didn't wipe them away. I can't undo what I did. I can't take back the laugh or the humiliation or the 15 years he spent carrying that wound. But I can stop lying. I can stop pretending I'm someone I'm not. She looked directly at Malcolm. I'm sorry. Not because I got caught. Not because it's good PR. I'm sorry because I was wrong. I was cruel. And you deserved better. She turned back to the cameras. I know this doesn't fix anything. I know many of you will never forgive me, and I don't expect you to. But if there's anyone watching who's ever been mocked, dismissed, treated like they don't matter, her voice cracked. I see you. I'm sorry. And I promise to spend the rest of my life trying to be someone who lifts people up instead of tearing them down. She stepped away from the podium. Vivian was purple with rage. Grant was already walking toward the exit, but Malcolm was still standing in the doorway. And for the first time in 15 years, he was smiling. The aftermath was chaos. Elena walked out of the press conference into a storm of shouting reporters, flashing cameras, and Vivian's voice cutting through the noise like a blade. You're finished. Do you hear me? Finished. Elena kept walking. Grant intercepted her near the elevator. His face was twisted with fury, the mask of concerned fiancé completely gone. What the hell was that? The truth. The truth. He grabbed her arm. Hard. You just destroyed everything. My family's reputation, our engagement, Let go of me. You think you can just walk away? After everything I've done for you. Let go. A hand appeared on Grant's shoulder. Firm. Unyielding. Malcolm. She asked you to let go. His voice was calm. Deadly calm. I suggest you listen. Grant's face went red. This is none of your business. You're putting your hands on someone who doesn't want them there. That makes it my business. Malcolm stepped closer. Walk away. Now. For a moment, Elena thought Grant might swing. His fists clenched. His jaw worked. Then he looked at the cameras still pointed in their direction. The reporters still recording. He released her arm. You'll regret this. He straightened his jacket, composing himself for the audience. Both of you. He walked away, already pulling out his phone, already spinning, always spinning. Elena exhaled. Her arm throbbed where he'd grabbed her. You okay? Malcolm asked. No. She laughed weakly. But I think that's the point. They went to the Crooked Spine. Joan was waiting with tea and bourbon and the kind of silence that didn't demand explanations. Elena sat in the worn armchair by the window, watching the Savannah evening settle over the square outside. Her phone was off. Her future was uncertain. Her entire life had just detonated on live television. She'd never felt more awake. So what happens now? She asked. Malcolm sat across from her, bourbon untouched. Now you figure out who you want to be. I don't know who that is. That's okay. He almost smiled. Neither did I, for a long time. How did you figure it out? I stopped trying to be what other people expected. He leaned back. Took years. A lot of failure. A lot of nights wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. He met her eyes. But I'd rather fail at being myself than succeed at being someone else. Joan appeared with a plate of cookies. Less philosophy. More sugar. Both of you. Elena laughed despite herself. Thanks, Joan. Don't thank me yet. Joan settled into her chair behind the counter. The hard part's just starting. What do you mean? You told the truth. Good. But truth isn't a destination. It's a practice. Joan's eyes were sharp. The question is whether you'll keep choosing it when it's difficult. When it costs you. When no one's watching. Elena thought about that. Her phone, turned off, shoved in her purse, felt like a ticking bomb. The moment she turned it back on, reality would come crashing in. Messages from her mother. Demands from lawyers. The wreckage of everything she'd built. But sitting here, in this quiet bookstore, with these two people who'd seen her at her worst and hadn't walked away, it felt like the beginning of something. The next morning, Elena woke up unemployed. Vivian's email was waiting when she finally turned her phone on. Your employment with Weller Crane Hospitality Group has been terminated effective immediately. Security will supervise the collection of your personal belongings. No severance. No reference. Just like Vivian had promised. Elena read it twice. Then she deleted it. She showered, made coffee, talked to her mug. "Well," she said, "guess we're starting over." The mug didn't answer, but it didn't need to. Her phone buzzed with a new message. "Malcolm, breakfast? I know a place." She smiled. The place was a diner on the edge of the historic district. Formica tables, cracked vinyl booths, a waitress who called everyone honey and poured coffee like it was a religious obligation. Malcolm was already there, looking absurdly out of place in his tailored shirt, studying the laminated menu like it contained trade secrets. "This is your place?" Elena slid into the booth across from him. "Best pancakes in Savannah." He set down the menu. "Also, nobody here cares who I am. That's worth more than any five-star restaurant." The waitress appeared, poured coffee without asking. "The usual Malcolm? Please." "And whatever she's having." Elena ordered eggs and toast. The waitress vanished. "You come here a lot," Elena observed. "Every Sunday when I'm in town." Malcolm wrapped his hands around his coffee cup. "Started coming here when I first moved back to Savannah. Couldn't afford anywhere else. Now I can afford anywhere, but this still feels like home." Elena looked around. The diner was half full. Construction workers, elderly couples, a young mother wrestling a toddler. People living their ordinary lives. "I used to avoid places like this," she admitted. "Too afraid someone would see me and think I didn't belong. And now I'm not sure I know where I belong at all." Malcolm nodded. "That's actually a good place to start." "How is uncertainty a good place?" "Because it means you're not pretending anymore." He met her eyes. "You spent years building a life that looked perfect from the outside. Now that it's gone, you get to build something real." "What if I don't know how?" "Then you figure it out. One day at a time." He smiled. "And if you want company while you figure it out, I'm not going anywhere." The words hung in the air between them. "Why?" Elena asked. "After everything I did to you, why would you want anything to do with me?" Malcolm was quiet for a long moment. "Because holding on to anger was exhausting," he finally said. "Because I spent 15 years letting that one moment define both of us, and I'm tired of it. Because," he stopped, started again. "Because the woman who stood up at that press conference and told the truth, even though it cost her everything, that's someone I'd like to know." Elena's eyes burned. "I don't deserve." "Stop." His voice was firm but kind. "Stop deciding what you deserve. Let other people make that choice." He reached across the table, his hand resting near hers. "Not touching, just present. I'm choosing to be here. That's my decision. You don't have to earn it." The waitress returned with their food. The moment broke, but something had shifted. They ate in comfortable silence. The engagement party happened without Elena. Grant's mother went ahead with it anyway, rebranding it as a family celebration and scrubbing Elena's existence from every photo and invitation. Tessa was there, Elena heard later, looking smug and satisfied. But Elena wasn't thinking about the party. She was sitting on the floor of her apartment, surrounded by boxes, finally packing up the life she'd never really wanted. Grant's things went first. The golf clubs she'd bought him for Christmas. The monogrammed cufflinks. The framed photos of them looking happy in places she couldn't remember enjoying. Gone. All of it. What remained was surprisingly little. Some books. Her grandmother's jewelry box. The ugly coffee mug that had outlasted everything. And the book. It was sitting on her empty bookshelf, exactly where she'd first found it. Burgundy leather. Gold lettering. Patient as ever. Elena picked it up. The pages were different now. Fuller. The alternate life still there, but woven together with something new. Moments from the past week. The press conference. The diner. Conversations she'd had. Choices she'd made. She flipped to the end. The last written page held only one line. "The story isn't finished. It's never finished. But from here on, you're the one holding the pen." Beneath it, blank pages. Waiting. Elena found a pen in her purse. She sat down on the floor, the book in her lap, and thought about what she wanted to write. Not the life she'd lost. Not the life she'd imagined in another timeline. This life. The real one. The one that was terrifying and uncertain and finally, fully hers. She pressed pen to paper. I don't know what happens next, she wrote. But I'm not afraid to find out. 3 weeks later, Elena started a new job. Not in PR. Not in hospitality. Not in anything she'd ever imagined. She was working at a nonprofit that helped formerly incarcerated individuals find employment. The pay was terrible. The hours were long. The office was cramped and understaffed and constantly chaotic. She loved it. Malcolm visited sometimes. Brought coffee. Asked about her work. Told her about his own. They weren't dating. Not exactly. They were something slower, more careful. Two people learning to trust each other after years of reasons not to. One evening, he showed up at her new apartment, smaller than the old one, cozier, full of books she'd actually read, with takeout and a question. Dinner. He held up the bag. No audience. No resumes. Just us. Elena smiled. That sounds familiar. I've been waiting to ask properly. He set down the food. Without the history. Without the business deal. Without any of it. And if I say yes this time, then we eat terrible Chinese food and watch bad movies and see where it goes. That's it. That's it. His eyes were warm. I'm not trying to fix the past, Elena. I'm trying to build something new. She looked at him. This man she'd hurt so badly, who'd somehow found a way to see past the worst version of her to something worth saving. Yes, she said. He blinked. Yes. Yes, I'll have dinner with you. Yes, I want to see where this goes. Yes to all of it. His smile could have powered the entire city. Much later, after the terrible Chinese food and the bad movies and a kiss that rewrote 15 years of pain, Elena found herself alone in her bedroom. The book was on her nightstand. She opened it one last time. A new page. New words. Not her handwriting this time. Something older, wiser, like the book itself had found its voice. She chose courage over comfort, truth over performance, love over safety. She didn't become perfect. She became real. And that was enough. That was always enough. Elena closed the book. When she woke up the next morning, it was gone. Only a faint rectangular outline in the dust remained, a ghost of a story that had served its purpose. She smiled. Then she got up, made coffee, and started writing the next chapter herself. 6 months later, on a warm Savannah evening, Elena and Malcolm walked through Forsyth Park. The fountain glittered in the fading light. Spanish moss swayed in the breeze. Somewhere nearby, a jazz band was playing something slow and sweet. I have something for you, Malcolm said. He pulled out a small wrapped package. Elena opened it. Inside was a book, leather-bound, blank pages. I thought you might want to keep writing, he said. Whatever story you want. No destiny, no fate, just you. Elena's eyes filled with tears. I love you, she said. The words came out before she could stop them, before she could analyze or hedge or perform. Malcolm's face softened. I love you too. Even after everything. Because of everything. He pulled her close. You're not the woman who laughed at me 15 years ago. You're not the woman who read scripts and smiled at people she hated. You're someone who chose to change, even when it cost you everything. That's who I love. Elena kissed him. And standing there, in the golden light of a Savannah evening, holding a blank book full of possibility, she finally understood. The story was never about fate or destiny or magical books that rewrote themselves. It was about choice. It was always about choice. And she was ready to keep choosing.